Hello and welcome to the Global View on this Monday. I'm Andrew Kagan. Thanks for joining us again at AusBiz as we get the week underway. Let's first though take a look at where we finished on Friday. And Wall Street steady after what was a negative week overall. So the S&P adding 0.4%, the Nasdaq matched that gain, and the Dow outperformed up close to 1%. Now, as I mentioned, despite Friday's bounce, all three major indices there finishing the week in the red after a bond sell-off weighed on risk appetite. The VIX dropping around 5% on that session there, as you can see. So the mood did improve into the close. Now, healthcare was the leading sector with Merck and Johnson & Johnson among the stocks doing the heavy lifting there. The materials sector, that was also a standout. That was up about 2% on the day. Elsewhere, Tesla, it jumped 5% after Nevada approved its robo-taxi permit. And the stock got an extra lift from Bitcoin's big weekly run. Robinhood surged more than 13% after a White House cryptocurrency summit where President Trump backed the Clarity Act, a bill that would create a formal regulatory framework for digital assets. So that saw the likes of Coinbase also jump, with Bitcoin having moved about more than 20% over the course of the week. Well, the big data point on Friday was the US flash PMI for August. The composite reading came in at 56, well above the 54 estimate, and that is a yearly high. Services driving it, jumping to 56.8. Manufacturing slipped slightly but stayed in expansion. The survey now points to third quarter growth of close to 3% annualised. This week, the big event is the Jackson Hole Symposium. Investors are looking for Kevin Warsh, the Fed chair, to clarify his views on how the US Central Bank should react to stubborn inflation when the Fed chair speaks on Friday. Now, the US two-year Treasury yield, it rose to 4.24%. The 10-year was up to 4.74%. Australian three-year government bond yields range between 4.55 and 4.58. The 10-year was at around 5.06%. US dollar index was up slightly on Friday. The Aussie is currently trading at 71.7, having touched 72 in earlier trade. Now, early trading has seen oil slip around 1% on key global benchmarks. Brent crude futures, that's trading at around $93 a barrel. And that US dollar movement saw gold hit a 3-month high, climbing above the $4,600 mark for the first time since May. And Bitcoin, that has continued its run to be up at 77,500 US dollars. All right, let's get across some of those market moves then. Greg Smith joining us from Generate Investment Management in Auckland. Greg, a very good Monday morning to you. How have you opened there?
Good morning, Andrew. Yep. We have opened pretty flat, but I suppose the big story this morning is SkyCity. So obviously the casino group, it's up around 9%. So there's bid rumours sort of coming from your way, suggesting that it could be right for a takeover, and I suppose it's exploring options to sell its underperforming Adelaide casino, and I suppose it's seen as relatively clean if you sort of put that aside. A lot of the regulatory issues appear to be in the rearview mirror, and possibly shaping up as a classic private equity target. Well, that's what investors seem to think.
Yeah, in fact, we caught up with them last week, Greg, off the back of their results. So yeah, they're obviously looking to streamline their portfolio, as you mentioned, potentially exiting its Adelaide asset, but also it's just opened a convention centre there as well.
That's right. Actually, I had the fortune to go there twice in 2 days actually recently, and it was very, very busy. They're booked out. Speaking to sort of people that look after the bookings, it's been very strong. So, it's been observed they had more than a few hiccups, fair to say, with that convention centre. But look, it's great, great for Auckland, great for New Zealand, and should also be good for Sky as well. But obviously, look, when you look back over the last 5 or 6 years, a lot of issues. Just putting aside the regulatory issues, obviously there was COVID, problems with the convention centre, and then the economy here has been really weak as well. So share price is certainly on its knees. So obviously a big recovery today, but still down over 80% over the past sort of 5 years. I think it is probably a leverage play on the New Zealand economy, which hopefully was sort of coming off the bottom there, and that's possibly part of the reasoning as well.
Now, Greg, sticking with results. In fact, I just caught up with the chief executive of Chorus. We're going to be playing that out a bit later, but clearly it's the all fibre business and capitalising particularly on the growth of data demand there, and with data centres too, of course.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, the actual results themselves today are fairly in line, so the share's quite sort of flat. But yeah, steady result rather than spectacular, and obviously copper in terms of the actual network. I was going to say copper as a story certainly isn't old news, but in terms of telecoms, it is. So yeah, they're rolling obviously out that fibre that's obviously gaining traction, through the country. The penetration's really strong, and that's sort of driving things, as you say, along with the growth in fibre generally, and so doing well at the business level as well. So yeah, market reaction fairly muted, but I think that's more because the result was in line with expectations.
So, Greg, any other results you're looking forward to this week?
Well, there's quite a few, and if we look at the earnings season to date in New Zealand, I suppose the message has been the economy's recovering, but certainly not firing on all cylinders. But we have seen, we talked about SkyCity just then. We've seen recovery stories rewarded a bit. So you think of Spark, you think of Fletcher Building as well. But we're going to get some more names sort of at various ends of the economy. We've got some gentailers, Meridian and Genesis. I mean, I suppose the lakes have been quite full, so they've been benefiting on the volume side from that. But then there's pricing pressures on the other side. Summerset, that's a big retirement care operator. That's going to be really interesting to see not only how the occupancy rates are trending, but how they're sort of seeing the broader property market. I mean, residents have to sort of typically sell their houses to get into their homes, and that has sort of a knock-on impact. So the property market's still pretty soft, but you have to be interested to see what they say. In New Zealand, will they be talking a sort of similar story to Qantas, which obviously is occurring later in the week as well on the earnings front, and Port of Tauranga. That's always a good sort of barometer for how the broader economy is faring. So yeah, we're going to have a much more rounded view of the New Zealand economy by the end of the week.
Well, Greg, you just mentioned Qantas. It is on the list this week, last full week of reporting. Any other companies you're looking forward to on this side?
Yeah, Ramsay's. I mean, lots of reads, I suppose, on various sort of parts of the economy in Australia, and also particularly consumer. So you've got Centre Group, obviously. How's the retail sector faring? That's always a good bird's eye view there as well as Qantas. Xero will be interesting. Obviously, still dear to our heart, even though it's not no longer listed here. But how are they sort of coping with the AI threat? How subscribers tracking and the like? Are margins continuing to improve? And of course, I think the Woolies and Coles will also be of interest as well. Obviously, there's been some competition there. There's Aldi sort of heating up. So what are margins looking like there? And how are they wearing those sort of cost pressures? So I think those two will be in particular focus as well. But yeah, it's a busy week on both sides of the Tasman.
Well, also on Wall Street, Greg, with the focus very much on that Nvidia result.
Yeah, that's right. So, I mean, obviously, always sort of comes towards the end of the earnings season. Perhaps what isn't as significant. I mean, it's still significant, but you still all sort of hang on Nvidia. I think there's lots of other names that are giving a lot more of a view on how the AI thematic is progressing. But hey, it is the world's most valuable company. It's certainly the epicenter of things, all AI. So yeah, it's certainly going to be a lot of focus on that, and the extent to which big tech companies are still spending, what the pipeline's looking like, what that memory chip shortage is looking like as well, because we've seen reports over the last few days about them saying that we're going to put up prices by 15% or more on their chips. So that will no doubt get a bit of focus on the call as well. But going to be very fascinating, but has been interesting in recent quarters. Often Nvidia has beaten, and the shares haven't reacted that much on the upside. So going to be really sort of fascinating to see. But I think, look, if they can keep those growth rates that we've been seeing, you think a P below 30 times actually doesn't look too bad. But we'll see what unfolds later in the week.
And later on the week, we do get the Jackson Hole Symposium. Obviously, all eyes will be on. That's the first time that Kevin Walsh has appeared, of course. What do you think we should expect? Because, I mean, clearly he has disappointed the market in his lack of forward guidance, hasn't he?
Yeah, that's right. So cards close to the chest, and yeah, probably still in the honeymoon period a little bit, but yeah. Obviously, yeah, a lot of, I suppose, split over, where are rates going near term, the market sort of taking a different view. It almost seems week by week. The conflict in Iran, yeah, has to be said. It is a very, very important variable. But, and then those inflation pressures are also evident in the PMI. So we got on the other side, as you point out earlier, the global economy, particularly the US, is in pretty good shape, tracking at 3% growth in the US. So that would have to be reassuring, I would have thought, from that perspective. Employment intentions look very solid. So yeah, always be fascinating to see what comes out of Jackson Hole. I'm not sure we're going to get any sort of major, major surprises, but it should be interesting to follow nonetheless.
Greg, enjoy your week. Thanks for joining us from Generate.
Thanks, Andrew. Bye for now.
All right, let's refocus then on where we're likely to get going on the local markets. SPI futures looking very positive there, up almost 0.5%. And of course, a number of results to get across today as we do get into the fourth and final full week of reporting season. We'll do that in just a couple of minutes. Join us for the Open.